Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. This is going to be my review of the Gathering Storm 2 Fracture of Biel-Tan. We've had Gathering Storm 1 Fall of Cadia, I say last month, January time, where we had Saint Celestine, Belisarius, Call and Inquisitor Grey Fox. And we've moved from the Imperium side of things to the Eldar, or should I say the Eldari. This book, like its predecessor, will set you back £30, and it really is a must if you have the Triumvirate of Ynnead. So should you buy this book straight away? Well, if you like Eldar and you like the direction that they're going in, and you like Ynnead, you like the new avatar, and you like the models, you've got that set, and you want to use them in your Harlequin, Eldar and Dark Eldar armies, then yes, is the short answer. Let's have an in-depth look at the book. So straight away, what I will say is it's printed in the UK, like the predecessor, so they've moved from printing them in China to the UK, at least for these books, if that makes a difference at all to whether you purchase these or not. And again, like the predecessor, it has a lot of backstory. I won't spoil it for you, but pretty much you've got about 100 pages or so of the backstory, and we'll just go through a little bit of it now, sort of like a spoiler-free snapshot of it. So you've got this fracture. We'll give you the backstory of sort of Eldar, Dark Eldar, Tyranids, Yvrain, even some Lilith, Hesperax, and it'll give you some accounts of the characters as well, and some famous ones too. Yes, there is a fair bit of Dark Eldar in here, as well as giving you some descriptions of the Harlequins too. And it will kind of give you like a history of Eldar as well, and give you some of their backstory and their fight against chaos, all kinds of forms of chaos as well, some great little battles and things they have, and really sort of sets the scene. Goes on to how they've then got these ships, these craft worlds that sort of roam space, and then it gets into the meat of it with the Fracture of Biel-Tan, and obviously it's not a spoiler, but when it fractures, you've got this sort of birth of a god. And then the characters around there. So you've got this descent into the past. So you've got this excellent sort of bodyguard of Yvrain, and it just goes on how it just wasn't instant. It just carried on and carried on, a little bit like an earthquake and sort of like aftermath shocks throughout the race. And then it talks about their journey into the Eye of Terror and so on, and all the way through this story it's broken apart by these excellent depictions of battles, and both from a model point of view and also from a artistic sort of illustrative medium. Just fantastic artwork, fantastic models that they've all put together, and modified as well, what you sort of come to expect from Games Workshop. They've got all this mist and fog in the background, and then all of these models. Yes, I said in my sort of initial impressions that the Slaanesh models are definitely looking their age and could do with an update. And then it gives you hope, this last hope of the Eldar with this birth of the Incarn. And it brings other sort of craft worlds into the fold, and then there's some battles in space, and it brings in some more characters, their accounts, specifically Prince Iriel and Neandan and their fights with Nurgle. But there is an absolute plethora, I love that word, plethora of backstory. To me, it just seems like Games Workshop have pulled a Forge World, and I know they're sort of one and the same, but it seems like what they've done is, Forge World with their big £80 now books, they have 200 odd pages of rich backstory and fluff and history and all the rest of it. But then they also sort of complement that with quite a few data sheets and all the rest. This is in a similar vein, in that there's an absolute ton of backstory, setting the scenes and all the rest of it. And this is coming off the back of Fall of Cadia, which was another book that had a huge amount of backstory to do with this Gathering Storm sort of campaign. It's in a similar vein to what Forge World do. However, obviously there's a lot less data sheets in these books, but it sort of follows a similar kind of structure with accounts. It's not as sort of well set out, in my opinion, as the Forge World books. However, it is still well presented and follows a great direction. And I like how it sort of knits together lots of different stories and gives you real worlds where these battles and things have taken place. And you've even got a lovely sort of map of solar segmentum there, where Terror is, and all of these warp storms and places where sort of chaos have sort of come about. Then finally goes into the heavy metal team and some beautiful pictures of their models and all the followers. So much like the Fall of Cadia, where you had the different Space Marine chapters and Imperial Guard sort of factions and Death Watch, things like that. You've also got Eldar factions, you've got the Incubi, you've got some Harlequins, you've got some Witches. So that just goes to show that, you know, this is on a grand scale, much like the Sisters, the Space Marines, Imperial Guard and Mechanicum were all involved in Fall of Cadia. Eldar, you've got all of the different factions to do with them. And then right here on chapter 4 on page 103, you've then got the rules. It goes through the Echoes of War missions, of which there are 4. So it straight away talks to you about the mission 1, the Obsidian Gate. You've got Eldar player table edge, and then Chaos Demons deployment zone, and basically the Chaos have to destroy that gate. You've got the 12-inch and they're sort of retreating through the gate. The Architects of Pain, you've got the Inari players deployment zone, and then Homunculus Coven's deployment zone. And again, you just got to keep your triumvirate of Ynnead models alive. Ancestral Foes, again you've got the Inari deployment zone, and then you've also got specifically Slaanesh player, and the Slaanesh basically almost surrounded them, and if Slaanesh destroy all of the Ynnead models, then Slaanesh wins. But again, the Ynnead also have to locate their Crone Sword. So then mission 4, War in the Webway, you've got Tzeentch, basically Tzeentch against Inari player, and it's a victory points kind of mission, where you've got 3 24 by 48-inch battlefields. So it's a little bit like a campaign in a way as well. So each one has to have the Inari triumvirate formation in there. Then you've got the forces of Eldari. So I'll talk about the rules and things. I did so in each of the specific units reviews, but I will do so here as well. So we'll start off with Yvraine and her lovely little Jirinx just there. Lovely model, a lot of presence, really sort of speaks to me in sort of dark Eldar terms, but there's a fair bit of Eldar sort of woven in there. The sort of dark Eldar themes, definitely the bodysuit, even the sword to some extent, and the ornate headdress and the hair, and the fact that she's not wearing any sort of boots or shoes. That to me sort of screams bit of dark Eldar. Yvraine, or the Daughter of Shades, she's the Herald of Ynnead. I'll go through her stat line. So her weapon skill and ballistic skill are 8, strength, toughness and wounds are 3, initiative 8, attacks 4, leadership 10 and 6+ save. 6+ you think, oh dear, that's not good straight away, especially with only 3 wounds and toughness 3. However, she has this rune suit which gives her a 4+ invulnerable. Her special rules: Eternal Warrior, Fleet, Independent Character, Psych Master level 2, Strength from Death and Stubborn. She's also got this Jirinx Familiar. At the start of each psychic phase, you generate an extra D3 warp charge points, and only she can use those. She's the Herald of Ynnead. Whenever an Eldari model is slain within 7 inches of her, you roll a dice, and on a 4+, she immediately regains a lost wound. If the model is a Psyker, though, you add 1 to her mastery level to a maximum of level 4. And then you also immediately generate another psychic power for her. So she's level 2 Psyker. You can get her up to a 4 and also you can keep regaining these lost wounds if a model is slain within 7 inches. So that sort of increases her survivability somewhat. She generates her powers from the Demonology, Sanctic and Revenant disciplines, and her sword is the Carveer, the Sword of Sorrows. It adds +1 to her strength, so that gives her a strength 4, AP 3, melee and instant death, which is pretty decent considering she's got 4 attacks, and obviously if she charges, she's got 5 instant death attacks. It's going to have a very good chance of hitting with that 8 initiative, which is just insane, and also her weapon skill of 8. The only thing that's going to probably let her down is just her strength 4 when it comes to landing the blows. But really, it's the psychic powers that you're going to be choosing her for. So just to buff your psychic power just a bit, and obviously, you know, buffing her with adding some psychers in your army, and if you've got an Eldar army, there's going to be a high chance of that. So great model, 200 points, very strong, very psychic based, but can pack a little bit of a punch in close combat if she needs to. The Visarch, or Visarch, or Visarchi, the Visarch, 150 points, not actually as good as Ivrain in close combat, or with a gun. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 7. Strength, toughness and wounds are all 3 again. Not as fast, got initiative 7. Same attacks as 4, leadership 10 and a 3+ save. No special invulnerable save or anything like that, so he's just got his normal 3+ save. His special rules, he's got Eternal Warrior, Fleet, Independent Character, Precision Strikes, Rampage, Strength from Death and Stubborn. He's a champion of Ynnead. Whenever a model is slain within 7 inches of him, you roll a dice, and on a 4+, he regains a lost wound. If the model was a character, you add 1 to the Visarch's attacks to a maximum of 7. So you can have this bad boy at 7 attacks, 8 if he charges, with a weapon skill of 7 and initiative 7. He's going to be sort of hitting first, and his actual strength is benefacted by his sword, which is the Azuvar, the Sword of Silent Screams, of +2. So he's going to have a strength of 5 there. AP 2, melee, silence and 2-handed. Now the silence, enemy units within 3 inches use lowest leadership in the unit rather than the highest. I don't know how excellent or worse that is. Usually the veteran sergeant is only a +1 to the leadership, or the leader of that unit is only +1 more, so it gives you like 1 or 2 maybe benefit for that leadership. He's also got this Warden of Ivrain. If he's in a unit with Ivrain, you can choose for her to pass Lookout Sirs rolls automatically, and then if you do, you have to allocate all the wounds to him, and he always passes the initiative for making Glorious Intervention to take her place. Way of Visarch it has a Warlord trait generated from the Inari Warlord trait tables, even if he's not your Warlord. So you still get a Warlord trait for him, and for the purpose of that trait, he is deemed your Warlord. So 150 points. Obviously he's not a tank, he doesn't have an invulnerable save or anything like that, but he's an Eternal Warrior, and he does have his 3+ save, and his attacks, which can be buffed, his initiative and weapon skill are all great. I only wish these sort of characters had a gun of some sort, like a pistol or anything like that. You know, like a mastercrafted sort of one where the shuriken blades, the splinters that it fires or whatever, just, you know, more potent or poisoned or something like that. That's all I wish for these 3 sort of characters. So moving on to the main event, which is the Incarn, new avatar, the avatar of Ynnead. 275 points. I don't have the Eldar Codex, so I can't really make a direct comparison with the avatar of Cain, unfortunately, but I will make a comparison to the old Codex. So although I don't own the new Eldar Codex, I can make a slight comparison. I don't think the avatars changed much from this Codex, which came out, it's almost 4 years ago now, about 3.5 years ago. But I can make a comparison with the avatar in this Codex, which I will do in a moment. So the Incarn, his weapon skill is 9, ballistic skill 7, strength and toughness is 6. She's got 5 wounds, or she's got 5 wounds. Initiative 10, 6 attacks, leadership 10, and save of 3+. Special rules: Demon, Deep Strike, Eternal Warrior, Fleet, Preferred Enemy, Demons of Slanesh, Psyker, Mastery level 3, strength from death. Now, here are the other sort of special rules. It's Avatar of Ynnead. Whenever an Eldari model is killed within 7 inches of her, roll a dice. On a 3+, regains a wound lost early in the battle. Already packing 5 wounds, but a model, whenever a model is killed within 7 inches of her, you've got a better than 50-50 chance of her recovering a wound. 5 wounds as well. Excellent. You just got to pack a load of models around her. Inevitable death. The Incarn must be dropped in Deep Strike rules reserve, and unless the Incarn's been slain, each time a unit, friend or foe, is completely destroyed, a whole unit, friend or foe, you may immediately place the Incarn as close as possible to the position of that unit, at least 1 inches from all enemy models, even if the Incarn is still in reserve. Incarn may not charge in a turn which it uses its ability. So that's its only sort of downside. You can pop her up when a whole unit, friend or foe, has been killed. That's how she arrives, but she just can't charge. So it's in the enemy's best interest to keep all of his units full and not weak, and support them. It's also, but it's not in, and it's in your best interest to destroy units completely, and also in a way get your units killed. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it. Ynnead stirs. The Incarn, all friendly non-vehicle units with the Inari faction within 12 inches of the Incarn have Fearless and Feel No Pain special rules. She's a Psyker, generates powers from the Demonology, Sanctic and Revenant disciplines. And the Incarn sword it's called the Vilith Zar, the Sword of Souls. Strength is a user, so it's a strength 6. It's AP 2, melee, fleshbane, armorbane and soul blaze. Absolutely incredible weapon, and it's very rare to have something that has fleshbane and armorbane at the same time. Before I move on, let me just compare it to the Avatar of Cain, the other avatar that the Eldar have access to. Now, compared to the Avatar, we all know, legendary status pretty much, has a weapon skill and ballistic skill of 10, but again it has the same strength 6, toughness 6 and 5 wounds as the Incarn. It also has initiative 10, but the Incarn has 1 more attack of 6, but same leadership and the same 3+. And again, I think with Demon Rule, I think that the 3+ is invulnerable, but you have to just stop me on that. Again, Cain, similar to the Ynnead stirs, has Fearless, but obviously the Incarn has Feel No Pain as well. That's a double-edged sword, pardon the pun, because so units across the whole board, it's in your best interest for them to just be wiped out, friend or foe, but at the same time, they're all your friendly models are Fearless and have Feel No Pain, so the Feel No Pain sort of negates your own units from being destroyed, and you having your Incarn show up on your board edge. But obviously the Avatar of Cain, its weapon is the same strength of the user, but it is an AP1 melee weapon, but it doesn't have any extra rules, but it can be shot, but at a very short range of sort of 12 inches. So I just thought I'd make that comparison with the Avatar of Cain. I don't think the rules have changed that much in the new Eldar Codex. I thought it'd be beneficial just to make that comparison. Let's talk about the formations now. The Triumvirate of Ynnead. This is probably what you want to be using if you've got the set. You want to be using all these 4 models together. It consists of all of them. There are no restrictions, and the special rules, it's got this Heralds of Rebirth. Friendly non-vehicle units from the formation or detachment within 12 inches of 2 models from the Triumvirate have Fearless special rule. Well, that's pretty much the same as Ynnead stirs, but obviously Ynnead stirs, you've got the Feel No Pain. If you've got all 3 units, then all friendly units have Fearless. So that's a bit better. So it's giving you a positive there to have all 3. All of your models are Fearless, all of them. But this goes back to Ynnead stirs, where within 12 inches they also have Feel No Pain. So that's a good buff, having all of your models Fearless. Ynnead's chosen. If all 3 models are on the battlefield, you can add 1 to any rolls made for the Avatar of Ynnead, Champion of Ynnead, and Herald of Ynnead special rules. So I would have thought that would include the Avatar of Ynnead, special rule, whereas the 3+ regains lost wounds, so I'd say that's a 2+. Again, when you're recovering a lost wound, that's the way I'd read it anyway, that you add 1 to any rolls made for their own little special rules whereby they recover wounds. So that's a huge buff. Having the Incarn cover lost wounds on a 2+, having the Visarch recover wounds on a 3+, and boost his attack if they're characters, and likewise a 3+. So there you go. That's a great little formation. Doesn't cost you anything, no restrictions, and it's a real bonus to have all 3 of them together. If you don't have all 3 of them together, you're missing out on that +1 for their special rules, and fearless for your whole army. That's the summary of it. Got another formation, Soulbound Vanguard. Some of these you require sort of 3 books. You need the Codex Craftworlds, Dark Eldar, and this book. And some of them you even need the 4th book as well, which is the Harlequin Codex. So the formation for the Soulbound Vanguard is 2 units of Dire Avengers, 1 unit of Incubi, and 1 unit of Witches. Special rules, you've got Chosen Warriors. A unit from the formation is joined by the Visarch and or Ivrain. You add 1 to the weapon skill and ballistic skill of the models in that unit. Doesn't increase the Visarch or Ivrain, well, for obvious reasons, but that's pretty cool. So you get one of these units, +1 to weapon skill and ballistic skill. That's awesome. That means they're going to usually be hitting on 2s. Vigor of Old. While a unit from this formation is within 7 inches from another unit from the formation, it has Furious Charge. So if they're close, if the units are quite close, you get that. First of the Reborn, units from this formation can make a Soul Burst action if they're within 14 inches of a unit that is destroyed rather than 7. So 14 inches, that's pretty decent. They can have this Soul Burst action, and the Soul Burst actions are listed here. We'll go through those in a moment. The Eldari Blade Host. Again, another formation, no restrictions. 2 units of Witches, 2 units of Storm Guardians or Black Guardians, and 2 troops, specifically Harlequins. Special rules, United in Life. Start of the fight sub-phase, 2 units from the formation locked in combat with the same enemy unit. They gain Hatred special rule until the end of the phase. If 3 or more units from this formation locked in combat with the same enemy unit at the start of the fight sub-phase, they also gain a preferred enemy special rule until the end of the phase. That could be useful. And United in Death. Before choosing a unit from this formation to make a Soul Burst action, you can declare the whole formation is united in death. If you do so the Soul Burst action applies to all units from the formation. You only have to use this ability once per turn. If no unit from this formation has been made a Soul Burst action this turn. That's pretty decent. So you get that for all of your 6 units. Ynnead's Net. This has a Warlock Conclave, unit of Wind Riders, unit of Reavers, and a unit of Skyweavers. And restriction, the Warlocks must all be upgraded to Warlock Skyrunners. I would have thought that's quite obvious. Special rules, Acolytes of Ynnead. Whenever a unit from the formation destroys an enemy unit or is itself destroyed, put a dice to one side until your next psychic phase. If your next psychic phase, Warlock Conclave generates an additional warp charge point for each dice set aside in this way. That can be beneficial. The net is cast. All units in this formation must be set up in reserve. Make a single reserve roll for the formation in each of your turns from the second, which you can choose to re-roll. When a formation arrives from reserve, each unit moves onto the table as described for reserves, except that each unit must move on from a different table edge. That can be quite damaging. So you have 4 units, each one must move from a different table edge. So each one of those units, you can have a fair amount of models in one of those units as well. All of the different 4 table edges, so it sort of explains the net is cast. Another formation, the Whispering Ghost Hall. This has a Farseer, a Shadow Seer, Spirit Seer, 2 Wraith Lords, and any 3 units chosen from either Wraithguard or Wraith Blades. No restrictions. Special rules is Fear. Reborn Souls. Non-character models can reroll to hit rolls of 1 that target enemy units within 12 inches of a character in the formation. And Spirit Whisperers. Enemy units locked in combat with any units in the formation suffer -2 penalty to their leadership when taking fear tests. That's that can be pretty horrific as well, -2. So there are all your formations. I think that's quite decent, the amount of formations. Definitely gives you a nice variety to use your Dark Eldar and your Harlequin models, as well as your Eldar. Just bust out all of your Eldar models. I really like the Ynnead's net, and I do like the Whispering Ghost Hall as well. And I like the Soulbound Vanguard that, you know, have the +1 to the weapon skill and things. You could really sort of buff that unit by having the Visarch in there, and the Visarch looks very similar to the Incubi as well, so especially in the red colour. So the forces of Ynnead, let's have a look at the army special rules. So you've got the artifacts of Ynnead, which I'll just quickly go over in a moment. The strength from death, which is this, whenever a unit's completely destroyed within 7 inches of one or more vehicle units, with the special rule, you can have this soul burst action. So soul burst action, you can't pick a unit that's locked in combat, fallen back, or has gone to ground, but it can do one of the following. It can make a move as if it was a movement phase. It can immediately shoot or run or turbo boost. It can immediately make a charge move if it's a charge sub phase, but obviously enemy units can still fire Overwatch. If they charge in a fight sub phase, they do at the end of the current initiative step once they've charged, and you can only make one of those soul burst actions once per turn. So it's really sort of like buffs your army, buffs your units with that special rule if a unit within 7 inches is completely wiped out. So it just strengthens your army by others dying, which is great. Revenant Psychers, you've got this new Revenant Discipline, and the Warlord traits, you've got Lord of Rebirth, Warden of Forgotten Wisdom, Walker of Many Paths, Master of Death, Ruthless Commander, and Favoured of Ynnead. So the artefacts, you've got everything from a locket here, where you can regain a lost wound, to a Hungering Blade, which basically repairs its wounds, all of its wounds, if you kill a model. So that's all your war gear and things like that. You've got the detachments, so you've got a Reborn War Host detachment, where you've got the different lists for HQs, everything from Jane Czar to Fast Attack to Reavers and Skyweavers, and you've got all your formations as well. So they've all got sort of Eldar, Harlequins and Dark Eldar formations in the War Host detachment. Then you've got the Revenant Discipline, Psychic Powers, and then you've got the Tactical Objectives, and then you've actually then got pretty much another little mini codex in the back, which is this Forces of Ulthwé. All 3 Strike Force, you've got Elites, and then optional 3 Elites. Black Guardians are Elites. The difference is that they can sort of take their close combat weapons, Shuriken Pistols. Black Guardian Wind Riders, 60 points for 3 of them. Got Twin Link Shuriken Catapults. One of them can change it to a Shuriken Cannon, so not much difference there. Black Guardian Viper Squadron, 45 points. Looks the same as Eldar to me. And they've got this Webway Assault special rule. And they've got this Ancient Doom special rule too, which is a Hatred special rule against Demons of Slaanesh. Webway Assault can be set up in Deep Strike reserves instead of deploying with the rest of the army. When they arrive, they won't scatter, and the unit can be placed within 9 inches of enemy models. So that's pretty decent. Then a War Walker, again Webway Assault. So all of these Ulthwé models, all these Ulthwé units have this Webway Assault, so they can just pop out of Deep Strike without scattering. Pretty awesome. And then you've got the Armoury of Ulthwé. And that's it. That is the end. You've got this lovely little photo at the end with some of the models and the sort of older Slaanesh models too. But as you can see, he works in very nicely with the Incubi models too. So yeah, excellent book. Like the Gatherings, obviously I preferred the Fall of Cadia, just from a sort of Saint Celestine and Belisari sort of point of view, and the Imperium point of view. But believe it or not, I do have an Eldar army. It is on the channel somewhere from a few years ago. I'll definitely be bringing an army update for my Eldar army in a couple of months' time, I'd say, when my army updates videos are due to be released. So no doubt you'll see that. There have been a few units added, I'd say, including this Triumvirate. So I hope you join me for that. I think that they were my third army that I collected. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the book? Put all of your comments down below if I've made any mistakes specifically. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.